Okay, this article is about the Berkeley violence that took place during a protest yesterday out in Berkeley, California. I'm going to leave the link to this article in the description box. But before I start, I just want to say one thing, and I have every right to say this. White people, don't come back to Black channels complaining about what Black people destroyed during protest when it's very clear that y'all destroy properties and you create human bodily harm during your protest. You actually have fist fights out in the streets. So no defense, but we don't need lessons from you on how to protest. What kind of example have you really been? You have no right coming here preaching anything to the Black community when it comes down to protest. You attend to your own people and stop worrying about what we do. Let me get into this article. Black-clad Antifa attacked peaceful right-wing demonstrators in Berkeley. None of you are peaceful as far as I'm concerned. All right, ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to go ahead and roll this video.
Violence, arrests, and injuries in Berkeley, California on Sunday as a right-wing rally was met by thousands of counter-protesters, giving way to heated clashes. Masked counter-protesters in black stormed over police barricades while police tried to keep order, leading people away from the scene. The rally itself was canceled days ago, billed as a No to Marxism in America rally. Police had to escort most of the right-wing demonstrators out of the park, but as things wound down, authorities pulled back, keeping a distance from counter-protesters to try and minimize violence. Berkeley's police chief later defending that decision.
And the question has to be, does it make sense to get into a major use of force over grassy area? The need to separate very much vanished.
This was the second day officers had to mobilize across the city for a tense weekend of planned political marches.
Okay, ladies and gentlemen, you know, it seems like all of these Trump and anti-Trump rallies are violent. Okay, you may say, oh, well, Black people destroy businesses. Well, first of all, those businesses don't belong to Black people. Number two, it's a hell of a difference between killing somebody with a car and destroying a business. If you don't know what those differences are, then you need help. Their faces hidden behind black bandanas and hoodies, about 100 anarchists and Antifa, anti-fascists, barreled into a protest Sunday afternoon in Berkeley, Martin Luther King Jr. Civic Center Park. Jumping over plastic and concrete barriers, the group melted into a larger crowd of around 2,000 that had marched peacefully throughout the sunny afternoon for a rally against hate gathering. All right, now there is a good video that RT put out, and it's a shame when the foreign sites got better videos than the US sites does. I'm going to go ahead and roll this video. Growing divisions, Antifa clash with right-wing protesters at Berkeley rally, and I'll leave the link to this particular video in the description box as well.
Rival protests in the US city of Berkeley have descended into chaos. Anti-fascist demonstrators broke through police barricades during a rally against hate there, and then they clashed with right-wing activists. Prior to the unrest, police banned sticks, masks, and any other potential weapons. However, dozens of anti-fascist protesters broke those rules, it appears. They also pepper sprayed the leader of the conservative group. One left-wing demonstrator attacked a photographer, and others reportedly threatened people who were trying to film the violence. Meantime, here is a video filmed by a reporter there. It appears to show a group of anti-fascist protesters beating a right-wing demonstrator. 6 people were injured, 13 arrests were made. Here's Caleb Mopin with more than from Berkeley.
We're here outside of Berkeley Civic Center in downtown Berkeley, California. And as you can see around me, there's a huge crowd of people calling themselves anti-fascist protesters. These are people that assembled to counter a right-wing rally that was called for today, for this afternoon, under the slogan, "Say No to Marxism." A lot of different forces out here. Now, one grouping that is widely present is the folks who call themselves Antifa. Some of them also would call themselves the Black Bloc. People with masks over their faces, helmets, goggles. They're here for a fight almost. I mean, they give that impression. We've seen repeatedly Trump folks try to come into the crowd, begin sending out their message, making statements in support of Donald Trump. And the crowd kind of circling up, the police moving in, and scuffles breaking out. The city of Berkeley has actually rallied around the slogan, "Berkeley United Against Hate," and that's been hanging from all the public buildings. It's been displayed in the stores around the city. This is just one illustration of the ongoing division that continues to take place across the United States, especially in the aftermath of Charlottesville. A lot of different views being expressed here, a lot of anger, but a lot of folks that just say they're worried about their country. There seems to be a lot of division. The far left and the far right, political violence in the streets. So a lot of different messages here in downtown Berkeley, California.
Yeah, it seems so. Caleb Mopin there. The vice chairman of the Libertarian Party, Arvin Vohra, told us that violence is being normalized, as he put it now, across America.
A lot of the normalization of violence that we're seeing is happening because even at the government level, we're seeing situations in which the government settles its disputes with violence. If there's a dispute with the Islamic world, it's settling it with violence. If there's a dispute with drugs, they settle that with violence. And that example needs to change. So one possibility will be a wholesale rejection of violence at the personal level and at the governmental level. And that would be an incredible opportunity for American growth. But the other possibility is an increasing cycle of violence, where violence is normalized or becomes more and more part of our politics. And a violent politics is a rejection of everything American stands for, is that we're able to settle our disputes without violence. It is one of the things that has set America apart since our founding. And to see that going in this direction, to me, is just heartbreaking. I want to see it stop.
First of all, America's entire foundation is built on violence. This country started in violence. And when it ends, and believe me, America will end. You can best believe it. It will end. And it will end in violence. America has never learned to live a peaceful existence. Everybody is violent. Your cops are violent. Even your politicians talk in violent ways. You just got violence from the top on down. So what do you expect? Of course, the violence is never going to go anywhere. And not only that, the violence is being taught. So when you have a whole situation of a country being built on its foundation of violence, then of course you're going to see violence throughout the entire history. And you're going to see it in the future. You can't name one year in America and it was not violent. Not one year. In fact, you can't name one month in America and it was not violent. Every single one of these alt-right and Antifa protests always is loaded in violence. Always. So again, don't come preaching to the Black community anymore. Shortly after violence began to flare up, a pepper spray wielding Trump supporter was smashed into the ground with homemade shields. Another was attacked by 5 black-clad Antifas, each windmilling kicks and punches into a man desperately trying to protect himself. A conservative group leader retreated for safety behind a line of riot police as marchers chucked water bottles, shot off pepper spray, and screamed, "Fascists go home." All told, the Associated Press reported at least 5 individuals were attacked. and AP reporter witnessed the insults. Okay, so there were all those assaults happening. Berkeley Police Lieutenant Joe O'Case told Washington Post the rally resulted in 13 arrests on a range of charges, including assault with a deadly weapon, obstructing a police officer, and various Berkeley Municipal Code violations. And although the anti-hate and left-wing protesters largely drowned out the smaller clutch of far-right marchers attending a planned no to Marxism in America. Why are you always talking about Marxism? Marxism is a European concept. That comes from Europe. Why are you always talking about that here in America? In fact, why are you bringing all that stuff from Europe here in America? Number two, fascism. That's a European concept. Neo-Nazis, a European concept. Everything from Europe, they done drag that shit over here. And what good is it doing if you're fighting out in the streets? Rally Sunday confrontation marked another street brawl between opposing ends of the political spectrum, violence that has become a regular feature of the Trump years, and that is the damn truth, and gives signs of spiraling upward, particularly in the wake of the violence in Charlottesville. Believe me, this violence started long before Charlottesville. Long before you're going to have to go back several centuries because that's when it began. I applaud the more than 7,000 people who came out today to peacefully oppose bigotry, hatred, and racism that we saw on display in Charlottesville. Berkeley Mayor Jesse Agron said in a statement, however, the violence that small group of protesters engaged in against residents and the police, including throwing smoke bombs, is unacceptable. And why do you bring so many weapons to a protest? You got guns, you got knives, you got pepper spray, smoke bombs. I mean, what the hell is up with that? Why do y'all bring so much weaponry like you're out here to fight a war? Fighting hate with hate does not work and only makes each side more entrenched in their ideology camps. Okay, here's another video. I'll go ahead and roll this video.
I have read and I have been questioned since I've been here about certain demonstrations against my coming, that if they should have the kind of government they apparently seek, no one would ever be able to do what they're doing again.
Last night we had over 4,000 peaceful protesters making their opinions known on the streets of our city. But we also had some anarchists
Some kind of assembly.
All I can say is, Black people, stay out of all of these protests. It has nothing to do with us. This is white people that got to hash out their differences. Let them do it. Stay out of it. Last May, 150 similarly Black-clad agitators caused $100,000 worth of damage when they smashed through Berkeley protesting a University of California, Berkeley speech by right-wing provocateur, that Milo guy, whatever. And did you see all those smash store windows in businesses where they threw things through the windows? But they're the first ones trying to point out what Black people do during their protest. Again, I don't want to hear from none of you ever again about protesting after seeing nothing but a shitload of violence in all of these Trump and anti-Trump protests. Don't come back with your sermon on Black people and what we do. We don't want to hear you. Portland, Oregon has been the scene of street battles between Antifa and white nationalists this summer. White nationalist Richard Spencer was sucker punched by a protester in a January video that went viral. And Inauguration Day 2017 in Washington, D.C. was marked by violence when mass protesters burnt vehicles, smashed windows, and clashed with police, leading to 231 arrests. And that was on the Inauguration Day, ladies and gentlemen. I mean, it's got to be probably one of the most violent inauguration days I've ever seen in my life. On Sunday, police in Berkeley maintained a strict parameter around the area in the beginning of the afternoon, including enforcing an emergency city rule outlawing sticks and other potential weapons from the park. 50 officers were spread out at the area's 4 entrances, according to the Daily Californian. But Antifa protesters armed with sticks and shields and clad with shin pads and gloves largely routed the security checks, and by 1:30 p.m., police reportedly left the security line at the center street and Malvias street entrance to the park. Berkeley Police Chief Andrew Greenwood told the AP the decision was strategic. A confrontation was sure to spark more violence between protesters and police. Now, why is there so much violence between y'all out there protesting and the police? I thought y'all got along with the cops. No need for confrontation over grass patch, Greenwood said. Yeah, nice attempt to try to minimize a violent situation. Joey Gibson was among the right-wing activist assault on Sunday. Gibson, the leader of the Oregon-based Patriot Prayer Group, had planned a tolled freedom rally at Crissy Field Beach. Gibson previously told LA Times his group was not white supremacist, but feared that extreme or racist figures might try to co-opt his event. Yet, as with other planned right-wing events in the wake of Charlottesville, Saturday's rally drew controversy in the San Francisco area, with one group stockpiling dog feces, oh shit, to lay at the scene on Saturday. Dog shit, y'all? Dog shit? Oh my God! Last Friday, Gibson canceled the event due to the mounting pressure. It doesn't seem safe. A lot of people's lives are going to be in danger tomorrow. He told Unite America First. Attention shift to Sunday's No to Marxism in America event. However, last week, that event's organizer, Amber Cummings, also signaled The event was off due to the growing tension. I stress I do not want anyone coming, and if they do, will be turned away. I'm sorry for this, but I want this event to happen peacefully. I do not want to risk anyone getting harmed by terrorists. Cummings wrote online, according to NBC Bay Area. Well, at least you're admitting that you're terrorists. On Sunday, Cummings reportedly did not fear for her event, and anti-hate marchers far outnumber the right-wing element that did make an appearance, the AP reported. Although Gibson was reportedly seen taken into custody on Sunday, the Patriot Prayer Facebook page stated Joey is not in jail and has not been arrested. He was cuffed and released after being shoved through the police line. Gibson did not reply to a Facebook message seeking comment. We're just puzzled as to why people consider violence a valid tactic. Berkeley resident Christian, whatever her last name is, 60, told San Francisco Gate she, like others, had turned out with neighbors for a peaceful rally, but left when things got ugly. We felt disappointed and surprised by how many people were not in any way discreet about being with Antifa. In fact, being very bold and prepared to be violent. Well, that's how all of the protests look when y'all are out in the street. I mean, even the photographs look violent. You know, I'll say it again, Black people stay out of these protests. This has nothing to do with us. This is the white man and white woman's fight out in the street. Please leave your comment and subscribe. And if you can donate to my channel, please do. Peace, family.